are stories that connect us to ourselves and each other. These stories reveal who we are and show us the many vivid, wild colors of our truth. Welcome to Soul Wanderings, where we raise spiritual awareness and foster connections through these shared stories and personal experiences. And now, exclusively on KGRA Radio, I give you your host for Soul Wanderings Radio. Here's AJ.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our fantastical night of the week. It is Soul Wanderings night, and Soul Wanderings is a show about journey stories. And we are hanging out here on the best in alternative talk radio, KGRAradio.com, which is heard throughout our universe every Wednesday from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern. And each week, we get to wander with a new guest about their authentic experiences through this human journey. And it is so very lovely that you are here with us this evening. Welcome, welcome. My name is AJ Rasmussen, and I'm your host. I'm also an owner and manager of a magical heart-centered healing space called Vibes, Mind, Body, Spirit. And it's there where I get to assist others in their personal journeys in healing the mind, body, spirit, and the heart. And I get to do that every single day. It's so good. If you guys are listening with us live tonight, make sure you hop on over to the chat room hosted here on KGRAradio.com. That's where I hang out and our other wanderers. We have conversation behind the scenes about our guests and the conversation we're having. And it's also a great place for you to ask questions for our guest. And if you do happen to have those, make sure you type them all in caps so I can grab them easily. And as time allows, we'll be sure to ask our guest your questions. Again, just hop on over to kgraradio.com/chat, and we will see you there. This evening, we welcome to the show Ani Anderson. She knows that emotional pain and frustration contains life's juiciest opportunities for success. She is the #1 best-selling author of Find Your Soul's Agenda, co-creator of Sensation-Based Mindset, and CEO of New Health Inc. And through her own intense personal trials and working closely with clients, Ani has developed systemized ways of teaching natural, energetic, and holistic laws to her clients so that they can free themselves from dysfunctional relationship patterns. Sounds so good. Please join me in welcoming to the show our guest, Ani Anderson. Hello, dear.
Hi there. Thank you so much for having me, AJ.
It's really amazing that you're here with us. I love what you do. I'm really excited for you to share with our wanderers tonight exactly what that is and what that looks like. First of all, though, as always on Soul Wanderings, we like to get to know you as a human, as in who are you, Ani, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I live in one of the most beautiful places in the world. It's in New York. When I say that, people think I'm talking about New York City, but it's actually in the middle of the woods across Lake Champlain from Burlington, Vermont. So if you think about Burlington, Vermont, most people think of trees and mountains and maple syrup. That's just about where I live, nestled in the foothills of the Adirondack Mountains in a beautiful little log cabin. And I live here with my husband and our family, our 3 children, and the family hamster. So I love where we live. And I love being out in nature, which is reflected in this beautiful place.
Oh, it sounds amazing. It sounds like heaven on earth.
That's what it feels like. Every time I travel, I love to explore new places, but I always think I'm excited to go home, which feels really good to me because I can remember a time in my life where I'd go places and think I wish I lived there. So that feels really amazing to come home to a place where, I couldn't wish for a better home.
It sounds really wonderful. What a great place for you to raise your family as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I grew up in New York City. So
I was about to ask, so where did you actually grow up?
Yeah, I grew up in New York City, and I remember thinking, walking along the streets of Manhattan, that when I had children, I didn't want them to live in a city. I wanted them to be able to live in the country. I was in Manhattan because I was pursuing a performing career. So my parents, thank you, Mom and Dad, moved their life from the suburbs of New Jersey up to Manhattan so that I could be a performer as a kid. So I'm very grateful for that experience, but also, that was enough city for me. I had my fill.
You had your dose of the city. I could imagine. I mean, I've never been there myself, but I'm sure movies and stories do it justice as far as how many people there are and how substantial it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's packed solid. There are so many people, and it's, so super multicultural, which is something that I miss living where I live now. It's not really multicultural. You can get all kinds of whatever food you want. There's people speaking all kinds of languages. There's just so much to experience about life in the city, and I really do appreciate that. We love to bring our kids to visit and spend a few days. But, you probably know, as an energy worker, for me, I'm really sensitive to energy. And so I can't really spend more than a few days in the city without feeling very depleted.
Yes. We were just talking about that before the show. Just energy in general right now is really wonky for me personally. And being in the city or around a bunch of people in a ton of people in a small area is just too much. It's overload.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you got yourself out of that area for your well-being and you get to go visit for fun. That's a great place to be. What was your childhood like being a performer and living in the city? What was that like for you?
It was interesting because I knew that I lived a life that many people really wanted. That was expressed to me by my parents. And so there were times when I felt like I was missing something, or I felt like I was missing out on some kind of life. And I think as a kid, now that I'm, 40, I can hear the experiences of other people and understand that just about everybody as a teenager feels like they wish that they had something else. So now I see my experience as kind of like a typical teenage thing where I wished my life was different because I was a teenager, and that's what teenagers do. Yeah. But at that time, what I thought I wanted was to, I thought I was missing something. So there was a bit of that kind of angst going on. And also the fact that I had a really cool life. I didn't go to school all that much. I was either tutored or I did homeschooling. I went to school for short periods of time because I was always busy with auditions and shows and doing recordings and voiceovers and all kinds of cool stuff. I mean, I met amazing people. I was working, which, again, as an adult now, I know how difficult it can be to be a working performer in New York City. So I just had so many wonderful opportunities come my way. It really is quite remarkable, lots of fun. And the things that I learned, I've taken throughout my life in a lot of different capacities.
Do you have any one experience that stands out as the most memorable?
I have so many, but one that comes to mind quickly most often is when I had an audition experience. I was auditioning for the Mickey Mouse Club, and it was, I don't know if it still is, like the Mickey Mouse Club was a show that if a person got on, it really could propel their career. And I knew that. And so, that seemed like a really good thing to want to get on the Mickey Mouse Club. And at that time, Britney Spears and I did a lot of auditioning together. And so she was up for the Mickey Mouse Club too. And I remember being in one of the auditions, and it wasn't one of the first auditions, it was a callback. So after you go to an audition and they like you, they call you back once, twice, 3 times, or many times. And so this was a callback. And I remember the casting director was behind the camera, and I sang my song. And she looked at me and said, you could get this part, but you really have to be more perky. And I remember thinking at that moment that someone was asking me to potentially compromise who I was and how I wanted to express myself in order to get a part. And I knew the weight of this role, getting this part could really make me famous. And at that moment, I looked at the casting director and I said, that's just not me. And I can have a very perky personality, but I really love all kinds of emotions. I love the depth of the emotional experience. And I wasn't willing to just be the perky face just to get the part. My mom says that after I left that audition, I told her that someday I wanted to do something that helped to empower girls. And I don't remember saying that, but I now that I'm in the personal development space, I think it's really interesting because it's really what I help people to do is not compromise their own integrity. Mm-hmm. So that maybe was a little flash of what was to come for me back, when I was 14.
Yeah, it's such a young age for you to even know that you didn't want to compromise who you were or change anything about you in order to get ahead was substantial.
Yeah. And my agent, didn't necessarily like that answer. And it started a little bit of something for me because there were other parts that then I auditioned for that I maybe didn't want to do. It really began my questioning of who do I really want to be in the world. And I remember I left the city for a number of reasons, but one of the reasons that I left was because I had the fortunate opportunity of having many auditions. And sometimes I would go in and definitely be one of the most talented people there, but not get a part. And there was all kinds of reasons why you didn't get a part. Sometimes you didn't get a part because your hair was the wrong color or you were too short or whatever. And I felt like, it was like somebody, maybe reminded somebody of their niece. And so you got the part because you looked like somebody they knew. Mm-hmm. It seemed to me like there was a lot left up to chance. And I really wanted more control. I thought over my own reality. I wanted more control over my life. Mm-hmm. I didn't know at that point what that meant. Now I have such a greater awareness about what it means to take personal responsibility and create your own reality and the things that go into that. But at that, it was kind of a disempowering time for me to realize that it just felt like everything was left up to chance. And also this thing about not being rewarded for excellence really bothered me. Sometimes somebody got the part just because they had a certain haircut, not because they were necessarily the most skilled. And that really bothered me at the time. I wanted more control over my life, and I wanted to be excellent at what I did, and be able to reap more rewards for that.
Right. And you probably were. You were working really hard towards that and seeing what injustice there was going on around you because you were putting in the work and the effort and it wasn't being rewarded. I could see how that would be frustrating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it can.
And you were getting seeds planted all along.
Exactly. Because some of these things have really come back to be worked on as an adult, right? Like, I had a need to prove myself then, and I realized in my 30s that I continued to think that I wasn't smart enough, or I needed to have certain skills or certifications or whatever in order to be the best. And then like all of the stuff that comes up for us to work on in our own lives, I can look back at that time and see some real patterns that, of course I wasn't aware of because I was a teenager, that have come back in my adult life to be looked at.
It's so interesting how that happens. I've looked back over my past as well and seen where those seeds were planted. And it's just fascinating where you've ended up and how all along you were on that path.
Yeah.
It's so neat. I love how that works out. I get silly over the littlest things, but we look at things as, everything is so black and white, but there are so many pieces that we are playing with. It's just neat how they all come together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you. I love to look at this stuff for people as well, and how different aspects of even their personality or their tendencies when they were little come back to be those seeds that grow into the most beautiful things as adults. It's really fascinating to look at the lifespan of a person and the patterns rather than just specific kind of isolated incidents. I think those patterns are fascinating.
Yeah, it really is neat. And the whole psychology behind it, I can see where you do what you do, how that would really be beneficial to your client to see the bigger picture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love to talk about big picture. I think that, one of the things for me that really gives meaning to my life is looking at how, I believe that we're all interconnected. And I believe that every time I sincerely look at myself and develop myself, I do that for the betterment of humanity. I do that for the betterment of the planet. I love to consider that just like the cells in the body, the health of one cell affects the whole organism. I love to think about it like that because for me, it gives my life a greater meaning.
Yeah, I can empathize with that. Doing what I do and having the clients that I have, just even seeing that light bulb go off for themselves, like just being around the energy of the aha is really awesome. Mm-hmm. But I really do want to get into more of what you do, which we'll do shortly here after the break, seeing how it's sneaking up on us so quickly. But from a teen going into like high school years or young adult years, what was that like for you? What path did you take at that time?
Boy, I could talk about that for hours because there was a lot of stuff that happened kind of all at once. So I was finding my voice to some degree. I also had a really deep craving to go back to school because I wasn't the last grade I completed completely was 7th grade. I got my GED in high school. Because I was performing so much. So I had a craving to go back to school, some disillusionment about the business of entertainment, and to put the icing on the cake, there were some personal issues going on in my home that were not safe. And so I was 16 years old. I realized that I could technically leave home and go to college, which I couldn't see going out on my own. I didn't feel like a leap I could make, but I could see going to college. And so that became the logical choice for me to to leave the city, go to college, get an education, get out of show business, and to get out of an unsafe home situation. So at 16 and a half, I did that. I left school and I went to college. And so I found myself in my freshman year, physics was my very first class, sitting in the front row, listening to other people talk about how they had taken AP physics, and I hadn't been to school since 7th grade. I was really nervous, and I took like all of my energy and poured all of that energy of wanting to be excellent into being a good student and doing whatever it was that I needed to do. And I think that having that thirst, that hunger for something different really helped me to succeed in college. So I went to school originally for athletic training, having really no understanding of what athletic training was. I thought it was going to be like helping athletes. And because I was a dancer, I knew I was an athlete, but I didn't know that other people didn't consider dancers athletes. Whoops. So after I realized that that's what other people thought, that athletics meant sports teams, I switched my major to occupational therapy. I got involved in the health sciences based on the recommendations of my mother, who suggested that because I was so into dancing that, I could probably find a really good career in the health sciences in some way, helping people with their bodies, because I was a body person. So it's interesting that that's where I landed in college, because although I haven't practiced occupational therapy traditionally in many years, and actually I found being a traditional occupational therapist extremely frustrating, the career that I have now is very, very much highly, highly informed by the physiology and the anatomy of the human body. And so because I'm a trained rehabilitation therapist and specialist, I have training that has set me up for everything that I do today. There's no way I could be doing the things that I'm doing today without that background.
Those little stepping stones. I love that. I can't wait to hear more about what you do and how it all connects together. And we're going to learn more about our guest here after our break. You are listening to Soul Wanderings, and we will be right back.
Intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now. The Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Author Kathleen Watts, a.k.a. Thought Continuum, shares a double abduction experience in her book, Catch Me If You Can, a story of alien abduction and culprit plunder. This 1976 true life account of a close encounter in northern Utah near Hill Air Force Base. Imagine driving home from the movies with your spouse when your car suddenly stops working, and it's in that very same moment that you realize you are the only thing animated. Catch Me If You Can, the 5th anniversary edition with lead-in material for the upcoming release of Payback is a Glitch from award-winning author Kathleen Watts. Get your copy today. Log on to thoughtcontinuum.com. That's thoughtcontinuum.com.
Around the world for decades have come high strangeness reports of mysterious aerial lights, beams, animal mutilations, human abductions, secret space and military programs focused on an alien presence. One reporter of these Earth mysteries is Emmy Award-winning TV producer, writer, and editor Linda Moulton Howe. She reports and edits the science, environment, and real X-Files news website, earthfiles.com.
We are moving from the paradigm that we are alone in the universe to a new one in which we are not alone. And something out there is interacting with us, our animals and plant life, forcing glimpses of other realities upon us.
Linda has produced 4 large books about these phenomena with hundreds of color images and illustrations that reviewers such as New York Times best-selling author Jim Marrs describes as an amazing accumulation of evidence. All her books, An Alien Harvest, the 2-volume Glimpses of Other Realities, and Mysterious Lights and Crop Circles, along with documentaries, are available in the shop at earthfiles.com.
Your contact for current news and trending topics. KGRAradio.com.
Welcome back to Soul Wanderings, hosted here on KGRAradio.com. We are here wandering with our guest this evening, Ani Anderson. It's so wonderful to have you here with us tonight.
Thank you. This is such a great conversation so far.
It's good. We're talking about you, magical you. And during the break, we were talking about I wish we recorded some of the stuff we talk about during the break because it's so good and I want to bring it back in on the show. But we, like 14, you were so young and still knew that you wanted more and you deserved more and you wanted to stand in your power. And now that you're an adult and going through all of these things that you went through, you have a ton of credentials, by the way. And mm-hmm. Where it's led you, obviously, having all of that education has been amazing for you to put in your pocket and to use with what you do now, which is, you want to explain to everyone what you're up to these days?
Yeah, well, my main gig is sensation-based mindset coaching and teaching people that. So, mindset's a big buzzword out there. Not many people actually that teach mindset work actually have a system around it, first of all, which I think is interesting. But I don't know of anybody else who's doing holistic mindset. And what I mean by that is, I guess you could say mind, body, spirit. It's actually interesting. Today on a call that we were doing with our students, we were doing a reading from a book in Chinese medicine, and it was relating that the information in Chinese medicine predates the body-mind split. And I was relating to them that the philosophy that they're learning with sensation-based mindset is steeped in the philosophy that predates the body-mind split. So it's not just that we're learning body mindset. It's not just that we're learning mindset. It's not just that we're learning how to follow our heart. You're learning a philosophy that predates the body-mind split, as if union is the only thing we know. And so I just got a little philosophical there for a second, but that's what I'm up to all day long, is teaching people how to have a mindset that is whole, one with everything, totally embodied in the natural laws of the universe, not just an intellectual understanding of natural laws, but an embodied awareness of natural laws, which is super cutting edge. It's so much fun.
Yeah, until I had not heard of this type of mindset training or anything like this. And you call it sensation-based mindset. And what does that mean exactly?
Well, I'll tell you a funny story, AJ, since we have time. My husband and I created this mindset system, and we called it sensation-based mindset. And to be perfectly honest with you, I don't remember why we came up with that term the way that it's written. back then, but it kind of made sense. Oh, we'll call it sensation-based mindset because we're paying attention to the sensory experience in the body. This was years ago. And then as we started to do more research and put the methodology together even a little bit more, one day we sat down and we came up with this infographic to describe how human behavior is created, how each of us comes to action and decision and behavior in our lives. And my husband put the little infographic together. It's a very simple infographic. It's a triangle, so it's a pyramid thing. And on the bottom, it has sensation. And then the next thing it has is thoughts. And then the next thing it has is words. And the top is action. So he shows me, like, here's the process. And it's put in this little infographic. Isn't this funny? It's great. And then we looked at it, both of us, like a realization, and we both like point to it and go, oh my God, sensation base. Whoa. So it was like, it's interesting to me because the whole methodology of sensation-based mindset came through experiential learning and awareness, almost like every step along the way. As we look back, we go, of course, that totally makes sense. It aligns with everything we've already learned and in the books. It aligns with everything we've already experienced in life. And look, and it makes sense on paper. Really, really fascinating. So that was just a funny story to relate that all behavior is actually created from a sensory base in our bodies. It's how our physiology works. And so if we're just telling ourselves that we're creating our life from our thoughts, it's actually not completely true from a physiological standpoint, like how the human body works. We're always creating our behavior from a sensation base. And so that's basically the basis of sensation-based mindset, is teaching you how to work with that information so that you can create whatever circumstances you want. And honestly, so you can adopt whatever mindset you want to adopt. If you want to adopt a millionaire mindset, awesome. Use sensation-based mindset to help you get there. You want to adopt a success mindset, awesome. Use sensation-based mindset to help you get there. Use sensation-based mindset to help you adopt whatever mindset it is that you want to adopt, because it is the foundation of how we create behavior.
And so you're actually able to work with your clients in a way to not just change the thoughts in their head, but connect the mind, the body, the health, everything in every aspect of their lives to end up with the results that they're seeking. I'm having a hard time with words right now. I'm sorry.
But that was perfect.
It's so amazing. Like, I'm sitting here thinking, like, trying to wrap my head around it because it's such a new concept to me, you know, where I've been conditioned, like, your mind is a powerful tool and everything that you want is just a thought away. You have to create your own reality by the thoughts in your head. And although I'm past that point and I know it's much more than that, but what you're saying is a whole entire new way of doing things.
Yeah, it is. And like I said, it predates the body-mind split. Yeah. So the interesting thing about it is it's really, really, really simple to do sensation-based mindset tools and to embrace the philosophy of sensation-based mindset. Actually, you know, it makes perfect sense when you hear about it.
Yeah.
The difficulty is what we're up against in terms of really being able to solidify sensation-based mindset as a way of life is the fact that most of us have grown up, like everybody grew up in a society that understands life according to culture that is steeped in the body-mind split.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So not everybody thinks like this. Like it's even a little bit difficult to talk about because, you know, like I said, some people want to know, well, will you teach me how to speak to my body? Yeah, we will, but it's not like we're going to just teach you that. We're going to teach you how to create a base understanding of yourself so that you can achieve anything you want, so that you can create the whatever reality you want. by embodying the natural laws of the universe, as if there's no split in intelligence, as if you can access all of the spiritual intelligence, all of the body's intelligence, all of the emotions intelligence, and all the intellectual intelligence right now, because you can right now. And the link between all of those intelligences is the sensations. That's the link between them all.
And that's where the sensation-based mindset comes in.
Yeah.
How incredible is that? So would it be safe to say you could go as far as not just healing the conditioning that you've been through, the thoughts in your head, the habits, things like that? You could also go as far to say that in the connection between the mind and the body, you could also heal from diseases and different physical ailments.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Tell me a little bit more about that.
I'll tell you a story. So one of my favorite stories to tell is so fun. I had a client call me who said, I want to be an entrepreneur. And I said, okay, I can help you with that. Would you like some help with that? Yes, I would. Okay, so tell me what else is going on in your life. Listen to this. She had left her job. She was living with her parents. She wanted a new job, and she wanted that new job to be an entrepreneur. Meanwhile, she's sick in bed with Lyme's disease. She can hardly get up. She has no energy. She's got doctor's appointments up the wazoo. Like she has enough energy basically to get herself to her doctor's appointments in a day. She has no money. She's living with her parents. Like, oh my God. Most coaches or consultants or whatever would hear this case and go, you've got to be freaking kidding me. Whereas for me, it was kind of a no-brainer because she had everything going on. So she was in the perfect situation to make huge changes. So we started working with sensation-based mindset with her and came to some really cool conclusions about why her body chose to create illness. And after we came to those conclusions, and it was really, I was going to say after she started working with it, but honestly, it was after she came to those conclusions, she started her business. And it was about 3 months later, she went to the doctor's office and the doctor said, I don't know where your Lyme's went, but it's gone. Like your Lyme's is gone.
I love stories like that.
Yeah. And so recently I was telling this story to a group of people and they're like, that's impossible. Lyme's lives in your body. It can't go away. And I said, listen, I'm not the doctor. I'm telling you what happened. The Lyme's was gone. He didn't know what happened either. And then, I keep in touch with this person. And so a few years went by, maybe 2 years went by, and the Lyme's peeked its head again. And then it went away again. It's been like the wackiest thing. But like, that's the kind of stuff we're talking about. People who have back pain, who back pain goes away, or another, I could tell you lots of stories, but this other one's coming to me where a client calls us. They were already a client and they say, I'm going on a ski vacation. My back went out. And we have a very brief conversation about why their body could be creating back pain, and the back pain goes away. They have a great ski vacation. Like that's it. It's normal to have those kinds of results.
Mm-hmm. So we have a question from the chat room, which would help me wrap my head around what you're sharing, but they would like to have you expand more on the body-mind split.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I give kind of a pop culture fun version of this rather than the textbook version.
Oh, good.
So a long time ago, sometime in the 1600s, the church was getting a little ticked off at the doctors because the doctors were doing some spiritual stuff, and the doctors were a little ticked off at the church because the church was doing some healing. Right. And they're like, this is not good for business. Like what we really should do is the church, you take the spirit, doctors, you take the body, everybody's got plenty of business. Nobody's getting in each other's stuff. And that's how we should do it. And so like, to me, it was like a really old business deal. a long, long time ago. And so the church took the spirit and the doctors took the body. And, we see evidence of this in our medical system for sure. I mean, alternative medicine, as we would call it, is about integrating these aspects again. But for 400 years or whatever, we've been operating under the system where they're under the false illusion that you can actually split somebody up like that. You can't do it. But we've been operating under this false illusion.
Right. It is mind-blowing. I've had my own personal experiences with the mind-body connection, and it goes well beyond just changing the thoughts in my head, but actually reversing the diagnosis that I was given. And it blows my mind, even for myself, to see where I was and where I am now on that path, and how incredibly powerful we really are when we give ourselves the opportunity to be in that space.
We are so powerful.
So incredibly powerful. Like, who would have guessed?
Yeah.
And, well, we're not taught, we just grow up believing in what we're told or what we're shown as example, or, we go through whatever we go through, and we create this narrative that, may or may not be true, but it doesn't have to be true. Mm-hmm. And it creates these illnesses and creates these limitations inside of us. Mm-hmm. Where we really ultimately are in control.
Yep. Yeah.
It's so cool. It just blows my mind how flipping cool it is. It's just so cool.
Yep.
I love how it works. So you had said, I was trying to remember where you had said it somewhere, that there were 4 different aspects to the mindset: the body mind, the heart mind, the intellect, and the divine mind.
Yeah, we actually like to talk. We like to keep it as simple as possible. We talk about it in terms of 3 minds. There's the natural mind, which is like universal law, collective consciousness, that kind of thing. Then there's the mental emotional mind, and we put those together for a number of reasons. And then there's the body mind as the 3rd one. So we have the capacity to tap into all of those intelligences whenever we want.
I think it's really neat that you even bring in the aspect of the divine mind, the divine consciousness part, the aspect of it. How did that come into play?
Well, we all have access to all the intelligence that ever was or ever will be, whenever we want. The question is, are we open to receiving it? So I think that, I say that almost flippantly, like with my confidence around it, because for me, it's a no-brainer. This is how I've lived my life now for 20 years. Whereas my first awareness that maybe there was a different way of thinking was back in college. I actually had a health crisis myself, and I was not getting the medical attention in a way that I really should have as a college student. And so I didn't know what else to do, but I actually didn't even know where to look. But I was in my dorm room one day, and I saw a book on my bookshelf that my mother had given me, and I picked it up, and it was called Anatomy of the Spirit. It's by Carolyn Mace, and within it is a description of the chakras, the energy centers, and how to use it for healing. And so because I was having a medical crisis and I didn't know what else to do, I picked up this book and I read some of the information about it, and I took action based on some of the information I was reading about within the chakra of the body that I was having difficulty with, and my symptoms stopped. And at that point, I didn't really know what I had tapped into or what I did. And at that point, I would have labeled what I had done spiritual, because I was working with energy and I didn't really know how to categorize what happened other than kind of miraculous. Like all of it to me pointed to spiritual something. I was never religious. I was never really into like angels kind of spiritual stuff, but obviously something was going on that was kind of superhuman. So whatever that was, I wanted to know more information about it. And in my mind, what it was energy medicine. And so I started studying energy medicine a lot more. Come to find out later that really what my take on it at the time was that energy medicine was starting to help reunite the body, the mind, and the spirit. And so, that was my entry into this kind of work.
That's my favorite. That the energy medicine, just the whole spiritual aspect in integrating that into the mind body part is just it's magic. It literally is magic to me.
It is magic. It creates miracles.
There was a not comment. I apologize. There's a question from the chat room. When the mind body split, that is, I don't know how to word this. Hold on. When the mind body split, is that a separation of the spirit and the body?
But it's more of like a separation of how we talk about it. And to a certain degree, we need to, as humans, be able to put language around things so that we understand it. We need to be able to talk about things. And so we talk about the spirit as if we're talking about something that could be separated from the body and the mind, but it can't be. But we talk about it as if it could be so we can understand it. We talk about the mind as if it could be separate from the body or the spirit, when in reality it can't be separate, but we need to talk about it as if it's separate so that we understand it. The danger we get into is when we think that it is separate, when we think that we can talk about anything and it not be spiritual. Everything is spiritual because spirit is an aspect of everything. When we talk about mind and think that I'm just talking about mind, I'm not talking about the body. Impossible, actually. So that's a little bit more information about that.
Yeah, well, that makes complete sense to me. But there are so many people who are not spiritual and they don't believe in a soul or a spirit or anything like that, but they're wanting this change.
Exactly.
But they're not wrapping their head around the possibility of the spiritual aspect. In that case, when you have clients like that, how do you assist them in, turning on that light bulb?
I love it. For me, it's so much fun. And I don't care whether we're talking about somebody who doesn't want to talk about spirit, or we don't want to talk about mind, or we don't want to talk about body or whatever. For me, it's fun because I know it's all connected. And that is my philosophy on life. And so I take whatever door is open to me that someone wants to talk about. For example, when the woman called me and said, I want to be an entrepreneur, she didn't say, I want to heal my Lyme's disease. She said, I want to be an entrepreneur. So I said, okay, let's help you be an entrepreneur. If somebody comes to me and they say, I want to attain enlightenment, I say, okay, let's work with your spiritual development. If somebody comes to me and they say, I want to make more money in my life, I say, okay, let's work with you making more money in your life. Because the fact is, whether it's what we want to have, who we want to be, or what we want to do, all of that is based on a spiritual aspect. And if you don't like the word spiritual, that's totally fine. I can use other words. I can use other words like it's based on your natural aspect. We're all a part of nature. Some people can get into that. I can talk about how it's based on the universe or God. Some people want to use words like that. That's fine too. I don't really care what words we're using. It is important to me that I use words that my client can hear so that I can open doors for them. That's what's important. But the actual words, I'm not attached to. I just want to help people open doors.
Yeah. It's good that you're that way too, because a lot of people, at least from my experience, will just consider me woo-woo and they'll totally turn out and not hear what I have to say or anyone around me has to say when it comes to any aspect of spirituality.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And the non-attachment to words is really important, especially when you're working with so many different types of people.
Yeah. Yeah, we work with a lot of entrepreneurs, business owners, corporations, small businesses. And so we're not going to go in there and say, okay, everybody, we're going to talk about your soul and spirit today.
Right.
That's not the language they want to use. But the fact is that they have a problem they want solved. And guess what? We're awesome at solving problems. We can help you. Yeah. And so we'll talk about it in whatever language makes sense to help somebody get the result that they want to get, because all of our clients want to change their reality in some way. And so in order to change reality, in my book, you've got to know where somebody wants to go, right? It's like setting your GPS. You've got to set your GPS to where you want to go. And then the next question it asks you is, where are you now? And so for us, it's very important that we help people and meet them wherever they are at now in order to help them. You can't do it unless you can't get where you want to go unless you know where you are. So meeting people where they're at is so super important. And for me, it's part of the fun of it is the fact that we can flow with circles where we talk about spirit and soul and use those words. And then we can float in circles where we're not going to use those words and we can still get the same results.
Yeah, it would be a lot of fun, definitely. And I just love that you're able to help so many people, and it's not just a specific type of clientele. Widget's a widget. It helps with every type of person. And I'm just thinking about all those aha moments. Some people don't even know who or what they are in this moment. So for you to help them, assist them in that way in this moment so they can move on from there is just really fantastic.
So super fun. Oh my gosh. I mean, like you, I love my job. I love my job. It's so fulfilling.
Anytime you can assist someone for the greater good for themselves, I mean, that's just good stuff. I agree.
Good stuff. Yeah.
You guys are listening to Soul Wanderings here on KGRAradio.com. Let's take a quick break and we will return shortly to continue wandering with our guest, Ani Anderson. We'll be right back.
KGRA fans and conference goers, the first big event of 2020 is all set. Join the KGRA crew in Big Bear Lake, California this January for Alien Snowfest 3. Go to aliensnowfest.com right now. See the lineup and get in on the October special for only $79. Go to aliensnowfest.com right now. $79 gets you a full weekend pass, but it's only for October, so get there now. aliensnowfest.com.
Hey, is that a new music app?
Yeah, check it out. Surfer Music Discovery. It links to thousands of online stations, but the twist is you see the song names and artists that are now playing live.
That's different. No guessing. Looks like a waterfall of music.
So many formats. Rock, oldies, country, R&B, jazz, and a whole lot more.
How's that spelled?
Surfer. S-U-R-F-R.
Is it expensive?
It's free. No need to sign up or sign in.
Get the Surfer Music app free from Google Play or the App Store.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station. Salt Lake City, Utah. Van Buren, Arkansas.
Sure, humans can be a little weird at times. But take it from me, I'm a dog. And a person is about the best thing that can happen to a shelter pet. So if you want to learn how you can be that person, get down to your local pet shelter or visit theshelterpetproject.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Hi, Matt Ray here with America's First News, and I have a question for you. What do we all have in common, regardless of our age or profession? The busy, the elderly, students, doesn't matter. What do we all have in common? Stress, right? Stress causes anxiety in our lives, and we are susceptible to memory issues from time to time, too. So why not guard against both? Guard against the effects of chronic stress and improve your memory with one supplement, Calm and Clever. Ingredients help enhance memory and retain new information, while other ingredients reduce stress by maintaining healthy levels of the stress hormone cortisol. Calm and Clever was created by scientist Kurt Hendricks, a principal investigator in 2 NIH-funded studies on Alzheimer's disease. Sharpen your mind and feel calm and centered. Try Calm and Clever. Go to calmandclever.com. Enter the promo code radio for $5 off. Again, calmandclever.com. Enter the promo code radio for $5 off.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
Wanderers, welcome back. You are listening to Soul Wanderings here on KGRA Digital Broadcasting, Salt Lake City, Utah, Hudson Valley, New York. And you can find Soul Wanderings here as well as many other platforms for your convenience like TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Spreaker, Spotify. There's a ton of them. Just look for us. We're everywhere. And make sure you guys do check out the official KGRA Radio on YouTube for the latest show archives. However, wherever you find yourself joining us from, I'm happy to have you here wandering with us this evening. It's been a great time so far. And if you guys have any questions for our guests, we're headed into the last half of our wandering already. It goes by so fast. We are wandering with Ani Anderson tonight, and we've talked a little bit about the magic that she creates in her life, and there's more. So head over to the chat room. If you have any questions, kgraradio.com/chat, and there's still some time to ask. Ani, welcome back.
Thanks so much. It's so exciting to be here.
I can hear your smile when you talk.
I am smiling.
That's good. That's good. I always end the show with "Have a happy day," because, Wandering it's a happy thing. I really love spending time with my guests.
Yeah.
And it's great to have you here. I want to hear more about the things that you do. So not only do you do this amazing sensation-based mindset coaching, you also are an author, and you've written a book called Find Your Soul's Agenda.
Yeah, I almost forgot about that because nowadays the Find Your Soul Agenda process almost feels like a gift that we give to our students to do with other people. I do it with all of my clients, but we give it to others to use in their own lives, businesses, healing practices, therapeutic practices, and things like that. And so it's really wonderful because I got the chance to write the book, and I feel like the work picked me as the person to have it come through. And now I get this sheer delight of watching other people bring this work to people. And watch it continue to unfold beyond me, which is it's just like mind-blowingly awesome. I love it so much.
So what exactly is your book about then?
Yeah, the Find Your Soul Agenda is about the Find Your Soul's Agenda process. It's a process that we use with all of our clients. And it's purpose work is the way that we've chosen to talk about it. I'm going to kind of like whisper to you, AJ, and tell you a little secret. Really, the Soul's Agenda process is about finding how you embody natural law. Like if you were a part of nature, if you were a special flower or a special tree, what does your energy say about you? Who are you really? At an energetic level, in your authenticity, who are you? That's what the Soul Agenda process helps somebody identify and find. Now, I say that, AJ, between you and me, because a lot of people just want to find their purpose. They just want to find, like, what am I supposed to do here? How do I make better decisions? That kind of thing. Other people like you and me, and probably everybody else who's listening to this, wants to know more. We want to know, who am I in my essence? Who am I really? Like, what is my authenticity, and how can I put clear language around that? And that's what the Soul Agenda process helps people to do. So that's what the book's about.
So it's really about digging deeper. Really, I mean, because people will say, who am I and what am I about? And I get who I am in this moment, but I know that for me, I'm only just beginning, and I'm still seeking out what my soul's agenda is.
Yeah. So like, what if there was this one word that perfectly described you in all aspects of your beingness, in the ways that you tend to show up in the world? And in that word, it describes you now, and it describes how your life has been in the past. It describes how your life's going to be in the future in a way that is so simple that it's easy to understand, but it's so profound that you're going to explore it forever and the rest of your life. That's the Soul Agenda process. It's so cool.
It's quite a process. Something for the rest of your life. That's so awesome.
Yeah, so it's a really simple exercise that we bring people into in the book. So there's a lot of information about why the information is important. What background information do you need to know in order to really make the process make sense, in order to make the process one that you want to take, use, and integrate in your life? Because if you just learn it and you don't have any background information, it's kind of like this fun magic trick. Like, oh, I'm going to find my purpose. And then you go on with your life and you never do anything with it. But I don't want that to be the people who read the book. I want the people who read the book to really understand and be able to use the process. So the actual Find Your Soul Agenda process is about 3/4 of the way through the book. The first part of the book explains things like natural law and the body-mind split and those kinds of things that we talked about. And then we do the process. And then the last part of the book is how to use it for decision making so that you can actually go and use this information practically to make decisions in your life and really live from a place of purpose and authenticity.
That feels good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. There's actually a reviewer on your book that said it helps people develop the courage to transform their lives and inspire others along the way. Mm-hmm. And that's so profound because so many of us have this idea of what and who we are or who we're meant to be. But for some reason, we're waiting for that permission slip.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you wait forever for the permission slip. I was waiting for the permission slip in my own life. To be perfectly honest with you, I was. But I was also wishing for something else. I was wishing for a mystical experience. And so those two things are kind of in contrast to each other, right? Like on one hand, I'm wishing for the hand of God to touch down on my life and give me this mystical experience. And on the other hand, I'm waiting for like the permission. Or maybe that's actually kind of similar in as I think about it. But anyway, what happened was I did have quite a mystical experience or spiritual awakening, some people would call it, or other people would say my life just fell apart. Major crisis. Dark night of the soul, you got it. So that stuff happened with me. And so before that moment or that time in my life, I had, I had a lot of theoretical background information. I had all those degrees and the alphabet soup after my name. Mm-hmm. And the dark night of the soul really was the time that my life got leveled and I had to build from the bottom up, from the sensation base up. But anyway, I needed to figure out who I was because I had absolutely no idea. And so probably the biggest thing that helped me to get out of that dark night was the Soul's Agenda process that I developed during that time. And so after coming out of it, actually, it didn't occur to me to bring it to other people. Someone in my community said to me, basically, you're happy. I don't know what you're doing, but it's kind of pissing me off that you're so happy, and I want to know what you did. Will you teach me? And that was the first person that I did the Soul Agenda process with. Once I saw how powerful it was for her, then I knew that we were onto something that really needed to be brought to more people.
Oh, that's so good. I love when people have the courage to really put themselves out there like that, to write a book, especially one of empowerment where it can literally change another person's life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a courageous act that I didn't realize was courageous until it was at the printer.
And you're like, oh, goodness, this is happening.
I did. Yeah. I had a moment. I know exactly where I was standing. I had just dropped my kids off from school and I had sent the manuscript to the printer. So it was done. It was like, a done deal. Mm-hmm. And I just dropped my kids off for school at the morning and I stopped right in the parking lot and I was like, oh my God, mm-hmm. I now have no concept of how many people are going to read about my life. And I tell some really personal stories in the book. And so it hit me like a ton of bricks and I just got this lump in my stomach. Like all of the thoughts rushed in. Maybe I shouldn't have done it at all. Maybe I should have written it a different way. Maybe I wrote it in the wrong voice. Like all of these things came through my head and I really, really doubted myself in that moment. And about 5 minutes later, I got a text from a friend of mine who I'd given a copy of the manuscript. And she said, Ani, I just finished reading your book. I'm so glad you wrote the book, but more than that, I'm glad you wrote the book the way that you wrote the book, because the way that you wrote it allowed me to dive into my own vulnerability because you were so vulnerable about your stories. Thank you so much. And that was all the resolution I needed.
Mm. Yes. When you can change and influence and assist other people like that, even just one person, that's just incredible. And here you are doing well over one person. You're certified coaches now, and they're using your book and your training, and that's that's what we need. We all need somebody who's on our team, who's on our side, who can sympathize or empathize in a way that you can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That human connection is what so many people are longing for.
Yeah, I agree. That human connection is missing in a lot of our lives.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And I think that points back, AJ, to what you were talking about spiritual, because, there are people who will say, I'm not really spiritual. They're longing for connection. They're longing for relationships. And so, it's been my experience that I don't care if you call yourself spiritual or not. That doesn't matter to me. But if you're longing for a deep, deep connection with other human beings, guess where connection comes from?
Mm.
It comes from connection with self. And connection with self comes from connection with spirit. I mean, it's that oneness that we're all really craving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The oneness and the whole beauty of it is we all are already, divinely connected. Mm-hmm. And it's just a remembering, a coming back to our true being, the way that we are meant to be to begin with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and uncovering all the illusions that tell us that it's not that way.
Right. That's what the more I learn about you, I see one way when I don't do a lot of research on my guests beforehand, because I like that authentic, organic conversation that we have.
Yeah.
But because I like the aha moments with my guests. But the more I learn about you, I realize your title, it did come with the whole alphabet soup, as you put it. All the credentials after your name, which is amazing in and of itself. But the part that I really admire is that a lot of intellectuals won't even look at the spiritual aspect, where you not only have looked at it, you've experienced it, and you have intertwined it in your teachings and your way of helping other people. And that, to me, is my truth. That's what I feel to be true. And a lot of my listeners also are on that same page. And I think it's just so important that we continue to have those conversations where we're reminded, and for those who aren't quite there yet, to continue to have those conversations so that, one day they're like, I remember now, or I understand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Awaken us all.
Practicality is so, so, so important to me. We could sit around and theorize all day long, and I love theorizing and I love making connections and stuff. But at the end of the day, how are we really going to use the information to change our lives, to apply to our lives, to create more that whatever it is that we want to create, whether it's connections or whatever. When this really came to a head for me when I was going through my own dark night of the soul, and I saw all kinds of people. I saw shamans and therapists and yogis and you name it, I did it. So I was at a therapist's office, and I was really having a hard day that day. And she said to me, Ani, you just need to learn how to be. And I was so frustrated because I had heard this from the yogi, the shaman, the therapist, everybody was kind of saying the same thing. And I said to her, I will gladly be if someone would just tell me how. I just wanted to know how. Give me the manual, give me the worksheet. I will do it. I will do anything. And so she said to me, okay, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go home. I want you to lay on the ground, and I want you to put your feet up the wall like an L shape. So you're going to lay on the ground, put your feet up the wall, and you're going to lay there for 5 minutes, and I want you to do that every day. I was going to see her in a week. So I went home, I laid on the floor, I put my feet up the wall, and I thought to myself, here we go. I'm going to be. Whatever that is, this is how it's done. And I laid there for 5 minutes. The timer went off, and I felt the same as I did 5 minutes beforehand. And I had been meditating and things like that for 20 years. Okay. So I wasn't new, right? And I was like, this is it. I give up. I don't know what they're talking about when they say be. I don't understand what they mean. I think what people are trying to get at with me is I have to relax. And that's not what I'm looking for. I need something else, but it's not about relaxing. Being isn't about relaxing. Like I knew that somewhere inside of me, but I didn't even know what I was trying to say. I certainly didn't know how to do whatever I was trying to do. Mm-hmm. But really that's what I was looking for was I was looking for myself. I was looking for me. I was looking for my being. And my being isn't about sitting on the ground and putting my legs up the wall. Actually, a lot of my being is about energy and getting out there and speaking and saying the truth and having difficult conversations and running around. And like, that's me. That's who I be. I don't even remember why I got on that soapbox, but there I went.
It's good. It's good. It's all good. And I love that you're sharing things that so many of us can relate to. I know a lot. I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone I work with has gone through what we're referring to as the dark night of the soul. But the aftermath, when you learn who it is that you are or what's all the stuff that you just explained, it's when the magic happens. Mm-hmm. That darkness that we get through, that light at the end of the tunnel that we make it to, it's so incredible to experience.
It's worth it.
It is worth it. We don't feel it. Definitely not during that moment. You're
no.
Why I can't do this? But
yeah,
you get through it, and I feel like that's where we really learn what our true gifts are and what our true life calling is, or what our purpose and passions are, is having seen the dark and walking through that darkness and coming out of it. It really does change a lot of things for you, your perspective and your whole being.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it changes your whole being. Exactly.
Yeah. And, some people go through it a couple of times, and I'm not sure if that's because they didn't learn something the first time or what that reasoning is.
They're just lucky.
Lucky. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't ever want to do whatever again, but I'm very thankful for what it offered me and laid out before me. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
It's good stuff. I'm in full appreciation of the duality, the balance of the dark and the light, and very thankful for the opportunities that it has shown me and guided me to.
Yeah. I think for me, I was going to say so many of us, I've experienced this with clients as well, but I'll just speak for myself. For me, I went through dark aspects of my my young adult childhood years and thought, like, that's it, man. But the thing was, really, I was lingering on many of those things for a long time. So I was 30, my early 30s, I think I was 33, when my life crumbled. And I was still really, really ruminating and resentful about the things that had happened 17 years ago. And I didn't realize that I was dragging that around with me all the time, but I really, really was. And so it was kind of when my life started to crumble, there was some of this like, no, wait, I already had the hard stuff going on in my head. But the reality was that I hadn't dealt with it. Like that was the reality. I hadn't dealt with it, and it was time to bring everything to the surface. And that's what had to happen for me to get to the place I am now. And like you said, I'm also very grateful for that.
Yeah, it's a great place to be in hindsight, looking back and not looking at it as in something that was so horrible, but actually looking at it from a place of gratitude and being thankful that you were able to have those experiences that led you where you are. Yeah. I like to look at not just that actual experience, but even some of the harder stuff that I went through my life with complete gratitude. Mm-hmm. And it does change the whole vibration of, I would it'd be safe to say even my life, like everything in my life has changed by coming from that place. So
absolutely.
It's so good. It's so good. I just wanted to talk about how good it is and feels. I could have a whole show about how good and amazing and fantastical it is. Mm-hmm. But we are going to take our last break for the evening. And when we return, we'll get to share a little more time with our amazing guest, Ani Anderson, author of Find Your Soul's Agenda. We'll be right back. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Soul Wanderings, hosted here on this amazing station, KGRAradio.com. I am AJ Rasmussen, your host, and our guest this evening is Ani Anderson. She's the author of Find Your Soul's Agenda, but yeah, writing a book is really cool. She also does other cool stuff, like sensation-based mindset. She works with clients and even other coaches and certifies them in this, what would you call it, a mindset program? I'm not sure what you would call it.
Yeah, we call it a methodology most of the time.
There you go. I like that a lot better. My best friend is a word nerd, and she got that gift. I got other gifts. Then I find myself here on talk radio where words are not my strong suit. So here we are. Being authentic on Soul Wanderings. What a surprise. So you've had the opportunity to work with so many clients and go through so much training, educational and otherwise. I'm sure you have a lot of stories that we could relate to, and I really wanted to hear some of them because it sounds like you've been able to help, assist, whatever that looks like, a lot of people and have them have a life shift.
Yeah.
Do you have any that stand out that you feel that we would love to hear about?
The one that's coming to me right now is a client who contacted me because she was having trouble with her mother-in-law. And I think that it's probably coming to me because it's so super relatable. Like, who doesn't have trouble with their mother-in-law kind of idea, right? So this person contacted me because she was having trouble with her mother-in-law. The mother-in-law lived near her for only about 6 months out of the year. The other 6 months, she was somewhere else. And so during the summertime, the 6 months where the mother-in-law was close, it came to the point where my client, and we'll call her Anne was just dreading. Every summer, she would dread that her mother-in-law would come into town. And again, I just think this is so super relatable. Like, most of us can probably think of somebody who, when we know they're coming over, we know they're going to see them, gets like a pit in our stomach. And so Anne's idea was, what if she could transform the relationship with her mother-in-law so that in the beginning of the summer, when she knew that her mother-in-law was going to come into town, she no longer got the pit in her stomach. Like, she wasn't going to go far enough to say that she was really excited about her mother-in-law coming into town, but maybe she didn't get the pit in her stomach. And I thought that was just brilliant. You know, I thought, what a great goal to have for working with a coach. And so we really started to work with sensation-based mindset, of course, because that's my philosophy that I use, the methodology. And so this is really precious. And I find this every single time I work with somebody. There's always something that's really precious that we're guarding, you know, in our hearts. Mm-hmm. Something that maybe is a precious desire, or something that we've seen or participated in some way that feels wrong or bad or shameful. And so I feel like it's a great honor that people entrust me with their deepest stuff. And so it came out, and I didn't know this about Anne when we began, but it came out that she had suffered some sexual abuse in her childhood history. And there was some real lingering anger that she was going through around the feelings of disempowerment in her childhood. And that word is really important, disempowerment, because one of the first things that I did with her was to help her find her soul's agenda. And she came up with her word, her soul agenda word, which was empowerment. Empowerment. And so a part of the soul agenda process, actually, that we didn't talk about, but is really, really important to me, is this idea that we live in a world of duality. And so our purpose doesn't just show up in happiness, sunshine, rainbows, and light. It shows up in ways that we love to experience life, but it also sometimes shows up in ways that we don't love to experience life, and that can be expressed like two sides of a coin. So for Anne, we found her soul agenda word was empowerment, and one of the ways that she experienced life in ways that she didn't like it when life showed up was in disempowering ways. And so a disempowering mother-in-law was a way that life showed up for her that she wasn't really thrilled about. And so we started to talk about how she could feel more empowered in the situation. And so one of the things that came up, which was really simple, was she wasn't talking to her husband about how she felt about his mom. And so she started to open up to her husband more about how she was feeling. And this started to create connection between her and her husband, which lo and behold, she really, really wanted as well. And so like all of these gifts started to unfold. It started to open up the opportunity for her husband and her to become closer, which opened up the opportunity for him to be a more integral part of her relationship with her kids. The next thing, you know, the kids are in on this cahoots too, because they're really getting to experience their mother in new and profound ways, rather than kind of like angry mom, reactive mom, who was really all it was really going on was she was really defending herself. This young girl who was inside of her somewhere was still angry, scared, and defensive. And so it was coming out a lot for her in her life. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, she started to step into her own empowerment, and it really, really opened up so much for her and her family. Now, the reason she hired me originally was because of her mother-in-law, right? And so what Anne's kind of conclusion she really came to was her mother-in-law was really abrasive. And one of the reasons she was probably pretty abrasive was because she probably had hard stuff in her life that she had dealt with too, that maybe she hadn't dealt with, and it was coming out. Just like for Anne, it was coming out for her. And so what she was able to find with her mother-in-law was a deep sense of compassion. So I actually still work with Anne. It's been a number of years since this first reach out when she was talking about her mother-in-law. She just loves doing the work, and she loves going deeper and deeper with it. So she keeps on going. One of the fascinating things for me is it's not that, like I said in the beginning, it's not like she wanted to be best friends with her mother-in-law. She wanted to come to some kind of resolution around it, and finding deep compassion for herself helped her to find deep compassion for her mother-in-law, which has allowed them to open up and have a very different relationship, which of course is not just one-sided. Like they have their moments, they have their difficult conversations, they have stuff that comes up, and Anne is able to meet life when it comes up, not just with her mother-in-law, but with her family in a totally different way. So much fun to see that transformation occur.
Oh, yes, I can only imagine. I love the magic that happens. That's the light bulb I was talking about earlier, how watching your client just have something really click and everything shifts in perspective and experience.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
The digging deeper is so important. And
so important.
It is. And we always want to go surface level because, you know, it's scary to swim in the deep side of things. It's just... Who wants to do that?
Yeah, it can be. And I think that it's also like, God, it's so worth it and fulfilling, right? So when we start to dip our toes in, we just start to see that it's worth it. And like the first jump's the scariest. Like, the cliff jumping's a thing around me in the lake that we live on. And so the first time that I stand on a cliff, I'm like, oh, I cannot do it. Oh, this is horrible. And then you take the jump and your stomach goes up into your throat and you think, whoa, this is crazy. And then you splash and you go, I can't wait to do it again.
Yes, exactly. I love that feeling. It's such a rush. It really is. And that is such a great way to explain it, to give us a visual of what that would feel like. We've talked about spirituality a little bit. What are some spiritual experiences that you've had either through your own experiences or others where they were just so profound and embedded in your memory?
I got to be honest with you. I think probably one of the biggest spiritual awakenings really for me has been my own relationship with money. And I think that I still notice a little embarrassment saying that in front of all the listeners because there's still a lot of judgment around how money, isn't spiritual. Potentially. And so I really take a stand firmly that every single thing in life is spiritual because spirit infuses and animates all of life. So everything is spiritual, money included. Now, for me, my relationship with money really, it's been such a profound spiritual awakening. And I'll just give you a little snippet. Like, I remember I had hired a coach to help me make more money in our business. We're in a position where in order to continue to send my kids to the lovely and amazing private school that we've sent them to now for 8 years, we really needed to up the ante in the business. And so we hired a coach. And to me, at this time, my husband and I had separate bank accounts. And she said to me, how much money does your husband have in his bank account and in his IRAs and in his retirement accounts or whatever he has? And I had no clue. I didn't even know if he had retirement accounts. I didn't know what was in the bank account. I had no idea. And this is my husband, right? And so she said, you really need to know, besides the fact he's not just my husband, he's my business partner. So she's like, you really need to know, like you two need to have a conversation where you lay it all on the table. And I thought to myself at that time, no problem. So, I went to even tell him that I wanted to have this conversation, and I couldn't believe how horrible I felt. It was like I could hardly even tell him. And finally it came out, and it came out in so non-graceful. I was like, I need to know how much you have in retirement. It was just, and he's like, wait, what? Like, what? It's so graceful. Anyway, so it took me 3 times to actually be able to sit down and have a conversation with him. I didn't even realize it at the time. He had to point it out to me. The 3rd time we tried to sit down and have the conversation, that every time we would make a date to sit down and have the money talk, I would somehow get sick. So the 3rd time I almost bailed on it because I had a stomach ache. And he's like, look, we've gone to sit down and do this 3 times now. And every time you get sick. And I was like, no, I don't. You are so making that up. And he wasn't. He's like, okay, well, last Wednesday this happened. You got a headache. And then 3 weeks ago, you actually vomited. Like, he was completely right. I was getting physically ill because I was so not wanting to have this conversation with him. So we had that first conversation. And from there, we've gone to combining our accounts. We've gone to growing our business. We've gone to creating savings. We've gone to paying off debt, like all kinds of amazing things. And I'm so proud of myself for the progress that I've made around money in my life. These are patterns that have just been deeply embedded in my psyche and my body mind. I mean, literally, I was like vomiting, not wanting to talk about it. Right. And I've really turned my life around in this regard. So that really, for me, has been one of, and not just turn my life around. Like you asked, what has been some of your biggest spiritual pursuits or those of your clients? This has been a spiritual thing for me. I have spiritually learned so much about myself through the growth that I've experienced around money.
It's such a big topic of discussion for yourself and if you're in a partnership of any kind. That money talk is a challenging one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, money touches all aspects of our life. If you think about it nowadays with the way that we live, the first thing that we need is air. The second thing that we need is water. And the third thing that we need is money, because we don't grow our food, most of us. We go to the supermarket. And like, just saying that, like some people don't want to hear that, but it's true. And so money touches everything in some capacity. And when we have blocks and limiters and limiting beliefs and patterns that are not serving us and all that stuff around money, it literally is touching all aspects of our life in some capacity.
Yeah, I think it's a valuable thing that you dig in to getting to know what your trigger is when it comes to money. Mm-hmm. What was, besides sitting down and talking to him about it, how did you get through that? Like, what was like one of the first steps that you took to get through that being in fear of talking about it, or even just getting past it in order to move forward?
Yeah. So, I mean, one of the things that I realized was that I really did want to have a really good connection with my husband. So I just want to put that out there. Besides the fact I really want to have better than a good connection with my husband, I want to have a deep connection with my husband. So if I want to have a good connection with somebody, I have to be willing to be honest with them, and I have to be willing to be honest with myself, and I have to be willing to be vulnerable. And so just having an awareness that I really wanted to have a good relationship with him helped me to step into some of those fears. Because I knew that even though it was challenging, the conversation was going to deepen our connection.
Right. So it was a deeper desire to have that connection that got you through that.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. That's the motivation.
That's a good motivation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're just so conditioned, from young, like money doesn't grow on trees and you've got to work hard to earn that dollar, and, nothing is free. And we have this fear created around us when it comes to money. And then not to mention, we won't even get into politics because that is not my favorite thing to talk about.
Yeah.
But all the money problems that are going on there, it's just, there's this fear base around us everywhere we go when it comes to money, instead of looking at it as a form of energy.
Yeah.
And that it actually is an amazing form of energy, and that we're worth, the abundance that we can bring into our lives. And there's just so many factors that play into it. And I think that's a thing for a lot of people, more than not.
It is a thing for a lot of people. And it doesn't matter how much money you have, by the way. I have had some very wealthy clients who have some severe money blocks. It's really quite fascinating. Really quite fascinating. It doesn't even matter how much money you have. It's more about like that freedom aspect. Like, does money control you? Then you have money issues. It doesn't matter how much money you have, whether you don't think you have any or you have a lot, but it's still controlling you. There's stuff to look at there.
And the fact that you brought it up as one of your most profound spiritual experiences, how does spirituality play into the role of money?
I have had to grow so many ways as a human being because of my desire to bring more money into our family and our business. I've had to grow in so many different directions. I have had to empower myself. I've had to humble myself. I've had to look at my blocks. I've had to look at where I wanted to be right. I had to look at where I was making myself wrong. I needed to look at where I was afraid to be judged. All of these things and many, many more have come up because of looking at how I could bring more money into my life.
It's so good. I'm glad that you went through that so you can share with us and come out on the other side of it in such a bright light that you have. It shows other people that it's possible for us to be that same way. And wow, everything that you have shared has just been really incredible. I wanted, we still have a few minutes. I want to make sure that everyone knows how to get in touch with you. If they're interested in becoming a client or reading your book or even becoming one of your coaches, what does that look like and how could they reach out to you?
Yeah, one of the easiest ways to find me is at AniAnderson.com, A-N-I, Anderson with an O.com. There we have links to the book. There's links to contact me directly. And I love to get email from people. So please, if you're listening and you want to connect, please do. I love to talk to people. So email me. And the information about the certification program, there's links about that there as well. That's my little hub online, AniAnderson.com.
Nice. Do you have any sensation-based mindset coaches on the West Coast?
Yeah, we do. We have coaches in Canada, France, and all around the U.S.
That's so incredible. How many coaches do you know how many you have at this time?
Yeah, well, I mean, we're in our second year of our certification program right now. Mm-hmm. So we run small programs because everybody gets very intimate, personalized attention. So we had 8 graduates last year, and they're from all over the place.
That's so good. It's so good. Keep on doing this amazing work and setting your experience and light into the world. It's so fantastic. And I'm very grateful for the time that you spent with us tonight, Ani.
Oh, thank you, AJ. This was so much fun. And I'll just echo, kind of what you said to me. Your light and energy infusing this radio show is it's a bright light in the universe. And I'm super grateful that you asked me to be here. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I'm so glad it worked out with your schedule. It's been wonderful. I just want to say thank you and thank you all so much because, sometimes when you use words, like I said, they just don't come across as strong or profound as you want, but the gratitude is there and I hope you do feel it. And I hope our paths cross again.
Me too. Me too. Maybe in Utah.
Yes. Come and hang out with us. It would be amazing. Soul Wanderings can be found on all the social media platforms as well as soulwanderings.com. And just like our guests, I love emails. So if you guys want to get in touch with me, make sure you email me at connect@soulwanderings.com. And of course, make sure you are following KGRA Radio on Facebook, on Stellar, YouTube, all the places. Share with your friends and family. Let's keep having these amazing conversations that bring awareness and awakening and love and all of those good, yummy, feel-good things into our experiences. I really appreciate you all for being here with us tonight. Thank you for another fantastic wandering. And as always, have a happy day.